Hello, good evening and welcome. Welcome to Rangers Radio. Join myself, Fox, here on the panel tonight is the one and only Bridgeman. And we might be joined by Fox. He's busy in the background, but hopefully be with us in a minute. How are we doing, gentlemen, or gentleman?
Thank you very much, Fox. I can say a huge good evening to yourself. Big good evening to the boys in the lobby and to all the Rangers fans listening in all over the world. Good evening and welcome to Rangers Radio.
Did you tell Mrs. Bridge that line I told you?
No, I didn't say nothing to Mrs. Bridge about it. Too much of a coward. Too much of a coward, pal.
You'd need to take bromide in your tea to do that one, mate.
Is life worth it? Is that worth that? No.
Well, Bridge, the pantomime that is Scottish football just keeps... I don't know how to put this. I wish I had the words, mate. I wish I had a wordsmith. But it just keeps going for the sublime to the ridiculous, and it's taking more twists and turns than... and the intrigue... I'll use the word lies, but I don't know if that's the right word... that's happening just constantly, and then came to the fore today, which is just unbelievable. But we're going to start our show by listening to your vice chairman, John Bennett, who put out an interview late last night, early this morning. I'm not sure exactly when. Seen it this morning myself, and it's very informative and he comes across very well, does our John. So get yourself on mute, Bridgeman, and we'll hear from our vice chairman.
Right, bud.
Well, the SPFL seemed quick off the mark in their media statement in response to the Rangers dossier. Why do you think that was?
I think you'd have to ask them why they were so quick. I mean, I've even heard people saying, they do have this tendency to come out swinging. I think if you go back, their words and actions all along from day one, and this has been pointed out by media people in particular, from day one, it's been nothing to see here, move along. And I think it's in that sort of spirit, that genre, if you like, that they've moved to try and shut it down and actually to discredit it very quickly. I found myself quite puzzled. How is it that they couldn't find an email to them at the time of the infamous changing of the vote? They couldn't find a certain email to them for hours, but within minutes of this report, this evidence going out, they were coming out, to use other people's words, swinging. I think it was a clear attempt to try and discredit the evidence without even looking at it properly.
The SPFL talked about it being, quote, a month since Rangers accused the SPFL of bullying and corruption. At last, they have issued their dossier. Why did Rangers take that time?
Again, a supreme irony, I think, when you look at that. Who set the timeline? Rangers did not set the timeline here. You need to be really clear about this. Who set the timeline? Rangers, from day one, followed due process. We didn't call the date of the AGM. We asked for an independent investigation. Of course, they said no. They tried their own one, their very limited scope investigation. You've had self-administered Q&A, for goodness sake, by the chairman of the organisation. We have, with good time, ahead of that, or within good time, ahead of that EGM, we have presented the evidence to the clubs, not hours before a vote, but days before a vote. We followed due process, and it's a process and a timeline that they set out.
People talk of a smoking gun. What do you make of that?
Well, again, I think that this actually comes back to the timeline thing. If you actually look at the several weeks, I think I saw a reference that by the SPFL in their latest sort of move along statement. There's no smoking gun. Finally, Rangers released their dossier. That to me is again classic but cynical tactics to me, and that is you had this several week vacuum, if you like, time void, if you like, created by their timeline, by what they asked us to do, and the other clubs, incidentally. They've sought to fill that void by coming up, this is a really important point, by coming up with words like smoking gun, by coming out with Rangers allege bullying and coercion. Rangers did not, from day one, allege those things. Rangers received reports of such things, and I believe they've even been reported to the CEO of the SPFL himself. So you create this timeline, you create this several-week timeline as the SPFL that Rangers and the other requisitioners have to follow. We follow that due process. You then fill that time, that void, by what was, let's face it, quite an orchestrated media campaign over the last week or two. And you get in there words and slogans. I actually see it as sloganeering and electioneering. That's what's going on here. Sloganeering and electioneering by the SPFL with those kind of words, the smoking gun, etc., etc. Rangers have been consistent. We wanted to present evidence that asks serious questions, questions that we're not alone in putting, and the right people and the right forum to answer those questions, an independent investigation.
Why do you think this is seen as Rangers versus the SPFL?
Very convenient, very easy, I think, and very cynical once again by the SPFL to isolate Rangers. Again, I think it's been a concerted attempt to isolate Rangers. Some people have said, oh, they're playing the big bad Rangers card. I think it's kind of easy to do that. It's unimaginative, but it's easy to do that. Isolate Rangers. It probably makes life a bit easier for them, and it probably makes them think they can win whatever they think they're going to win in all of this, i.e. people's votes or people's hearts and minds in all of this. But I do think many people see through it, actually. This was never about Rangers versus the SPFL. Let's be clear on that. This was about Rangers, other clubs, many people asking questions. As somebody put it very well in the media, actually, attempting to shine a light on what goes on in the governing body. And to me, that's a light that you can see it's very, very clear now. It's a light that's unwelcome. They've made it very clear. They don't like that light being shone upon them. That's all Rangers have been trying to do with other clubs. And if it takes us to lead that, and we've actually had a good number of clubs saying, you need to lead it, you need to lead it, well, then we will lead it. We will not stop asking the questions.
The SPFL have also accused Douglas Park of threatening Neil Doncaster. Do you have any comment to make on that?
I spoke with Douglas, and again, he has assured me, and I think he'll assure anybody that's willing to listen, that did not happen. My firm understanding has been clear since day one, since that Friday, in fact. He tried to engage with the CEO of the SPFL. The CEO refused to engage. And then Douglas and Rangers, we heard from the legal advisor of the SPFL. So that is a very different version of events. It's the first time, I've heard of Douglas threatening the CEO of the SPFL. I don't think that's Douglas's style, and I certainly don't think it happened.
There was also a suggestion that Stuart Robertson had ducked out of a meeting. What would you say to that, John?
Yeah, I think that was, again, a very cynical suggestion. My understanding is quite rightly and quite understandably, Stuart, having been given very short notice. Now, my understanding, incidentally, is that the executive of the SPFL, now this is my understanding, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but the executive of the SPFL, I've never heard of this in my life before, can call such a meeting at very, very short notice. Now, let's please think together of the importance of what we're talking about right now, this whole episode. If you're Stuart Robertson and you're going into that meeting and you're given, frankly, minutes or hours at most ahead of that meeting, is it any wonder Stuart takes some legal advice? And is it any wonder that Stuart's given the legal advice that frankly, and I'm a layman, I'll give you it in layman's terms, seems to be, it's so loaded against you. This, and I actually even heard the word witch hunt. This is what this is designed to do. If that's the case, it's actually appalling. And Stuart's the last guy who should be called out for refusing, quite rightly refusing, especially at such ridiculous short notice, refusing to attend.
Fellow SPFL clubs will spend the weekend having a look over the information. What message would you have to them?
I think I'd have a very clear message. Despite, they have been strong and consistent attempts to isolate Rangers, to make this all about Rangers versus the SPFL. Again, cynical but damn obvious attempts to do that. This has never, ever been about Rangers versus the SPFL. This is about the governance of the SPFL, of our national games ruling body. And, the people that the clubs have to ask questions of ultimately, right now, as they go into this weekend, are themselves. Ask yourself the question, is this the best that we can do? Those individuals that are said to be running our game ahead of a season that has so much uncertainty, one of which is we don't even have a sponsor, for goodness sake. So are these really the individuals, the best in class? Because you need to be best in class. Are these the best in class? Is this the best that we can do? Are these the individuals that you have trust in, faith in, confidence in to lead our game and take it forward? Ask yourself that. It's up to the clubs to provide the answers, not Rangers.
Well, thanks for that, Old School Fox. Bridgeman, John Bennett. We've not heard a lot from John, but to coin a phrase, when he's come out there swinging and putting the record straight, no pun intended.
Absolutely right, and very good, very well done as well. Excuse me. They're going to do this to Robertson. They're going to do it to him. They're going to hang him out to dry if they can. I'm not dead sure whether Rangers want Robertson to stay in there. Maybe they think that's better, politically better for Rangers if he's there, or would it be better for him to just resign?
No, I think Stuart, I think you're way off the mark. I know you've went for your bulldog, but I think we've got a bulldog in sheep's clothing, mate. He's just had to pick his fights.
Okay.
And when it's been required, he's come out swinging. In my opinion, it's only my opinion, Bridge.
No, but Robertson's getting messed about. He's been accused of not attending a meeting.
Yes, and then when you find out...
Exactly, you find out all about it, but still the accusation's there. They had a meeting, they did have a meeting, and he wasn't there. And they're just hanging about to dry with these things. I don't know whether it's better for him or... Obviously, we need to wait and see what happens.
It wouldn't matter who the representative of Rangers is. They're not going to turn up at that meeting unless they've got all the facts in front of them.
Yeah, okay.
Or and then they take the legal advice for their club's lawyers before they make any statements at the SPFL board, because they need the appropriate advice. Now, if you have something that's important and you've got to check legal positions, read documents, it just shows you a 200-page document arrived in their door and they put a statement out within minutes. Unless they're speed readers, mate, they've not even read the document. They've a prepared statement, and that's what you're up against. Robertson is trying to be professional, mate.
Can't disagree with you there. I think they've known. They've went through themselves. They've sat and had big meetings with themselves, and they know all the things. They've got a good idea what Rangers are going to say, because they know what the parts that are wrong. What did we do that could cause anybody to say anything, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Let's go back to what we were talking about. John Bennett's statement.
Yeah,
where he's pointed out what the cabal are trying to do. Anyway, we'll tell you what we'll do. We've got a few callers sitting waiting. The phone lines have started ringing already. So if anybody else wants to join us, what's the number?
The number's 0141 356 1972.
Or join us at Skype at rangersradio.online. We will be brought in the call by the one and only Old School Blue and Fox. And I think Fox has joined us here in the studio, Bridge. A round of applause for Fox.
Oh, yes.
How are we doing, Fox?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening, pal.
John Bennett. We've not heard from him. He's always been behind the scenes, man. He's come out and put the record straight, mate.
I think Rangers in general, between Stuart Robertson and John Bennett today, have played the SPL like a fiddle, mate. We've thrown out some raw meat, and the SPFL hyenas have narrowed and snored and laughed their head off, but just tripped herself up at every point, mate. I think we're ahead in the PR battle, and that's the way it's going to stay.
I think we're well ahead, Fox, because I believe we're playing with a square bat and we're telling the truth.
Well, the truth is easier to remember than lies, mate, and that seems to be the SPL's problem. They keep tripping themselves up. They state one thing one day, and the next day they retract that and put out something else. And everybody knows and notices the lies and the indifference in their statements.
One of the things, I'm glad you joined us, mate. I know you listened to the BBC this afternoon, but I'll come to that later. But we've also been joined by the one and only GFK.
Evening Oxford, evening Bridgeman, evening Fox. How you all doing, guys?
Okay, Jimmy. Yourself, good? You good?
I'm all right, mate. It was not a bad day today. Good day for a washing. Got my washing out and then it started
He's
to
came
rain.
on early because he thought I had a statement for Bennett's, mate. He thought it was opening up again.
Aye. Don't give all my secrets away today. I told you about that. The Lycra doesn't suit you.
What did you make of that, GFK? Cool, calm?
Aye, I watched it last night. Absolutely fantastic. I watched it late last night. Comes across a very composed and very well informed man. Same as Stuart Robertson. I agree with the Fox there that two men who are fighting their corner and fighting it very well. And I like your analogy about a square bat. Yep. Our PR's doing well. Dave King said, remember, there's a pack of cards and they're going to be all falling, and I think it's starting to fall. But can I put a thing with you? It's regarding the joint statement with Kelty Hearts and Brora Rangers regarding Brechin City. Right, now, there was allegedly, or probably was a meeting about potential rule changes that was proposed by the SPFL. Brechin City FC's chairman, who's part of the SPFL cabal, was a man called Ken Ferguson. And I'm not going to read the full statement, but Brora Rangers and Kelty Hearts have put a joint statement out that whilst the Hearts, Partick Thistle and Stranraer are all left unfairly punished, the same as Brora Rangers and the Kelty. But why has the team who finished 42nd in the whole thing been able to secure their position? Now,
Great point, mate. Great point, mate. Because they three teams have been expelled through the league.
These three teams have been expelled. Now, to carry on to what I was saying there, it seems that there was a meeting with the Lowland League and the Highland League, and they were pressurised by the SPFL cabal into a potential rule change that was proposed, and it was the proposer was Ken Ferguson of Brechin City.
Who was the beneficiaries of the rule change?
Of course.
Who was it?
The beneficiaries. Well, it was Brechin City, wasn't it?
Right. So explain to the people who don't know what happened allegedly.
Well, what happened allegedly was that there was a meeting, and they were asked to basically vote on the rule changes, and they were hoodwinked.
What was the rule change? Come on, hurry up, Isaac. Get to the point.
Well, the rule change benefited Brechin City upon any possible relegation out of the SPFL. And what it said is that the playoff pyramid system would have to be agreed by all four parties: SPFL, SFA, SLFL, and SHFL. This was not done. And
what else happened with Brechin City? That sounds, if this is true, allegedly dodgy. I don't know if you picked this up today, Fox, that the Brechin, who with the geography would have been put into the Highland League.
Yeah.
They moved the goalposts so that they would be in the Lowland League, which is easier for access. Most of their players come through there. Everything's easier. And why was that allowed to happen when they were Club 42 at the time? Suspicious, Bridge?
Absolutely. I mean, the kind of stuff that he's speaking about now there is just, it's actually mind-blowing. And this other mob are just sitting there. It's as if this stuff isn't happening. They know it's happening because they're making it happen. But, you know, it's just sweet, you know. It's another big carpet getting left getting filled up.
What I'm disappointed in Brora and Kilty, before this information was there, how were they not shouting about it before they got the carrot dangled in front of them, JFK?
Yeah, I'll not do my eyes at this time. I've watched Barry Ferguson PLZ TV, only when he's on it, and he was right up for it. He whatever decisions made, I'm having it. I'm happy for my team to be the champions and go up. But now it's went the other way for them, and they're not happy about it. So all I can say is hell mend them.
If something was wrong and been done wrong, and they kept quiet about it until it went so far that it didn't suit their agenda, they're as culpable folks.
Well, I do believe that they were lent on and with the threat that...
Right. So you think they were bullied and coerced?
Well, according to what I heard on the radio today,
I'll give you that, mate.
Some of these clubs are invited into the Scottish Cup competitions, but only as an invite, and I think they were more or less threatened that the invite may be removed.
Ooh.
So their leagues wouldn't get in the Scottish Cup or the Betfred Cup or the... I do
believe that's what the gentleman on the radio stated.
All right, okay. So you listened to Brora Rangers and Kilty Hearts on the BBC today?
I did indeed. But I thought the star of the show was the boy Leslie, the lawyer, the Hearts supporter, who's also a lawyer, who said that he could threaten the SPFL with exclusion from the SPFL, and they could possibly win in a court case, which I thought was very, very interesting.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect you to read out the whole of the Hearts statement they made tonight. Anne Budge, I know she's a poster girl of yours, mate. But could you read the very last paragraph of that statement, mate?
It's quite a lengthy statement, and the last paragraph is the one that interests us all. It says, please also be assured that while the Premiership has not yet been called, should it be so, with Hearts expelled as a result, we will be taking further advice on what options are open to us and to other clubs in the same position to formally challenge this outcome.
Bridgeman, the pantomime.
It never changes, does it? It seems to go on and on and on and on and on. I think what Jimmy's saying there about the Brora Hearts and Kelty is you know, it's quite mind-blowing. They've been offered, they're coerced, they've been offered something. I think Foxy said something about they've been offered possible slots in the Scottish Cup.
No, Bridge. No, you've got to listen, mate.
Well, that's what he says, isn't it? What he said?
They'd be told they'd be took away from their leagues.
All right. They'll be took away from their leagues. Oh, the 2 slots will be taken away from their league. Sorry.
Yes.
So it's enticement anyway, to vote one way anyway. And these things, I'm not surprised at all. It is what you call a pantomime, an absolute pantomime. I don't know if it'll ever end. I don't think Tuesday's vote will end it unless there's a massive vote against them.
You think the Scottish League would look back and they would look at what they've done in 1939, which came to the fore yesterday, 39 to 45, and the leagues were killed null and void, and we didn't have this pantomime. If you've not got time to play it because of the pandemic, maybe that's the only way to go. And unfortunately, the team for last season would have got in the Champions League. At least we would have done these farces, JFK.
It's a total farce, you know. I mean, there's accusation against accusation, and they're all against Rangers. But look, other clubs had the chance to get behind Rangers. I heard what John Bennett said regarding, you know, that Rangers were prepared to take up the cudgels on their behalf, but they should have a cojones to get behind Rangers and come forward with and get this ended now, because it's now becoming the Brechin City situation is an absolute scandal, and if this is proved to be true, then these other people should be held accountable, and we know who the people are. People trying to
You've made up rules.
exactly.
Yeah, you've made up rules that one team, all the teams at the bottom of the league have got to be relegated. Why would you not carry it through? And I believe they even played a playoff. It doesn't matter whether they've still got a chance to do it at a later date. So if you were going to carry that through and you've been being consistent, they would have to go down. Because none of the other teams that are being promoted in the other leagues are mathematically clear. So it's just a farce and morally wrong.
Do you think they'll realise it's as bad as from the outside? Do you think they'll realise it's as bad from the outside as a lot of folk think? Or they're not bothered?
Well, Brecon will be in the spotlight like never before, and I'm sure when David Will was part of Brecon, I bet you they wouldn't have got themselves into this situation. Fox.
Sorry, I missed that. Was that a question there? Sorry, my
No, I was
friend.
just saying that people, I mean, it's not as if Brecon or Barcelona, but they seem to be carrying some clout in Scottish football,
Well, of course, when you've got somebody on the SPFL board fighting your corner, mate, it puts the other teams at a disadvantage. See, just going back to that radio interview, I'd like to give a wee shout out for Tom English. Now, he's not been a friend of the Rangers support for a long time, but for me, he's the only reporter in Scotland who smells a big story here, and he's pushing through with it. So fair play to him, and he deserves a wee bit of applause for that for me.
I'm reading that, Fox. It's just as you're saying that, pal. I'm actually reading the transcript for the show, and they kept pressing the guy Maitland for Hamilton about his comments, but he wasn't really forthcoming. And I agree with what you're saying there. Usually, when I listen to him, I want to throw the radio out the window. But I agree with what you're saying, mate. It looks to what I've heard and what I've read so far, he smells a big story here, and he seems to be siding with us, you know. So, well, let's see what happens doing that.
I don't know whether he's actually siding with Rangers, mate, but he does smell a story.
Yeah.
And as any decent reporter would do, instead of the bloggers that we've got on the press in Scotland now, at least he's chasing the story. What
he's also said is it's no Rangers against the SPFL. It's completely different for that.
No, that's been the press that's made this out.
And all the lies that's been in the press about dates and timelines and saying that Rangers have mentioned corruption, which they've never said in their statement. They never said any SPFL employees bullied anybody.
No, and it was the same with the reconstruction, mate. As soon as they mentioned that, I said on the show that would never happen. And it was just another thing to deflect away from the main story. The SPL were happy enough to have a wee committee to look at it because it was taking a look away from what Rangers had put in the dossier. That's all it was, mate.
Yeah.
So what do you think Rangers should do before the vote on Tuesday? Is there something they can do?
Well,
nothing.
The battle starts. You'll find out more tomorrow. Donald Parker spoke to on a press
right,
and it'll be on the papers tomorrow. And I'm sure Donald, who's took up the cudgel JFK, professional, truthful,
and
we'll get the story, this side of the story tomorrow.
Same as John Bennett and Stuart Robertson. Be truthful. Get there, as you say. Play with the square bat. Get and tell it as it is. Answer the questions that you're asked, as long as it's not one of these double-edged questions. Just get and answer the question. Tell everybody, but they need to know without being derogatory. Some of the accusations put to Donald Park is absolutely disgusting. And let's hope that on Tuesday, I kept saying, that last night, that I'm hoping that we get a 15, 16, even 20 votes, and then we can go for a no confidence because the cards are starting to fall, mate. The cards are starting to fall, and I think I can't see us winning it. There'll be self-serving clubs there, but I think other clubs now are beginning to, rightly or wrongly, get behind Rangers.
If we start getting a dozen to 15, mate, that starts swinging.
Of course.
The cracks are appearing. Can I just some lines for the Stenhousemuir? All these world powers of football, Stenhousemuir and Brecon. You wonder, don't you? You really wonder. But their chairman's put it. There's quite a long article. It was in the Scotsman, but I'm just going to give you a few lines with it. There's clearly an issue regarding the culture in Scottish football. Some of the revelations in the dossier, obviously from Rangers, made for uncomfortable reading. Sadly, I recognise some of the concerns too. So there's Stenhousemuir agreeing with, well, no, some of the concerns or some of the things that's in the document already. That's another club, yeah.
Can I ask a question? Sorry.
I'm only reading the transcript for the radio things that you and Fox listened to today.
Oh,
but the guy Maitland, what was the crux, guys? The questioning, and did you think that he'd concerns that things weren't going great? Because I'm only reading what they put on here, but I never heard it.
The guy for Hamilton, JFK.
Maitland, I'm just reading here. It was.
What I've read out there is for the guy for Stenhousemuir.
Sorry, was it? Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, get your geography right. Bridgeman, what were you coming in with?
Oh, it's right. It's just zipped away when Jimmy Gentry said,
"No,
carry on."
I've bought a bit of crane and a bit of paper.
I'll think about it. I'll come back to me. I'll come back. Carry on. I'm enjoying it.
Right. Sorry, GFK. That was a part of the article in the Scotsman by the chairman of Stenhousemuir. So Fox, even he's coming across and saying, look, he recognises some of the things we're saying in the dossier.
Aye, well, you were speaking about the boy that appeared for Hamilton, mate. He was just like, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. In fact, the most telling thing he said was he doesn't know what Neil Doncaster does at the SPFL.
After a long silence, Fox.
Yes. Wouldn't he answer a question outright? And that was another big telling point for me.
Yeah, I remember.
I know some of you are saying there we've no chance of getting this EGM through, mate. But I think it's going to go a lot higher than 10 or 12. I can assure you of that. If clubs want the game run correctly, they need to have this investigation. If they don't, and it's all just about money for some of these clubs, there's no sport in it, and I hope they all go to the wall.
Yeah, agreed.
The trouble is, if they don't get it right, mate, they could have court actions coming out their backside, left, right, and centre. BT Sport, Rangers, Hearts, Partick Thistle, Kilty Hearts, Brora, Stranraer.
What does have happened if it had been null and void? No, there wouldn't be all this carry on, mate. The one option that they never ever looked at would have saved all the court actions that could come forward in the coming weeks and months.
Can I ask now, Oxter, what's happened to the likes of Hibs? Now, they're supposed to be getting run by a good CEO, supposed to be, and they're apparently straight down the line. Have they not got it?
I love you to bits, but I don't want to be rude, but the name's on the tin, mate. This is Rangers.
No, I understand that, but they're a big club. I'm meaning they're a big club. Hibs and Aberdeen, they must see what's going on as well. They're run, from a chief executive perspective, run by some half-decent people. I know what the kind of clubs they are. I don't really want them in the same league as me, but never mind, they're there. And why are they not saying anything? Or have they? Have they said something?
Well, Hibs have been very quiet, but obviously their man Petrie's involved with the SFA. Liam Dempster, she comes from good stock, so maybe our conscience a bit more. Aberdeen, there seems to be a mindset about their board. The guy McCormick seems more realistic than the guy Milne. He doesn't seem so bitter in his remarks. But Fox, I see a seed change. If JFK's point is, if we go to 50-50, mate, that's a knockout punch for the guys. They're finished. they're finished. But if that happens, look, we've also had the most damning letter of the day came from Partick Thistle, GFK.
Well, I know that, but I mean, Partick Thistle had a chance to vote the other way as well, Oxshare, and I don't have any sympathy for them, although it's my local team, because obviously me and yourself are Partick boys and that, but look, they had a chance to do something at the vote, and they didn't, and like other clubs now, they're starting to come out and they're seeing that the big picture is the real picture, so, no, it's a damning thing that they produced, but they had a chance, like Stenhouse, Muir, and all these other clubs, that they're wanting their cake and eat it,
Partick Thistle did vote no.
I'm talking about that when they were given the chance to take any further action, they decided to go against it.
No, they backed away from that.
But
they did vote no. But we've got to be factual here.
Aye,
they did vote no. They were. But then they took the advice and they had the grenade and decided not to throw it. Is that fair?
Well, that's what I meant to say, mate. I beg your pardon.
Was that down to the costs of probably litigation, mate, more than anything else?
Potentially, but we had a Partick Thistle boy on here who is a real Thistle man. I don't know what, well, his old man was, but the guy's one of us, and he supports the Thistle, mad Thistle fan, always has been. And he told you how he felt about what the Thistle had done back to me. But you're right, it might have come down to expense, Fox.
Aye, probably. But I think if some of the smaller
expense that's going to cost you, because Hearts, it might cost Hearts $250,000, but they gain to win $3 million.
Aye, and I could see other clubs maybe chipping into the kitty, mate, if that's the way they want to go. Mm-hmm. I think if they try and crowdfund it, I think they'll get more support outside Hearts as well as the Hearts support,
Can I ask another question? Is the SPFL actually trying to kill Scottish football?
Well, you wonder. That's a great question. But I wonder if people would join us and give their thoughts. So what's the number, Jeff?
Sorry.
It's 0141 356 1972.
Where else can they join us, Fox?
Can join us at rangersradio.online on Skype, and we'll bring you into the call.
Aye, that's a beezer, Bridget. I think you've summed it up perfectly there.
Can I just say, remember, if you're coming in by telephone, just ring in, hang up, and we will call you back.
Yeah, I'm just I'm listening intently to what you guys are saying. Sometimes I want to come in and say something and maybe, it doesn't quite gel in my head and it loses it. But really and truly, I think that's the main nub of what I'm listening to. It sounds to me like the SPFL, I got no idea what their game is. All they've done for the last probably 6 weeks is try to diss Rangers and play themselves up to be some sort of heroes, and they're certainly not that. And they're not liked, allegedly, they're not liked based on what the letters that are coming out. And that might, over the weekend, that might even grow to something else. But there's something no right. There's something no right with Scottish football.
Yeah. Can I come in there, Oxshire? But I know what you're saying there, Bridgeman, but look, you've got to look at the other side of the coin here. Would these clubs have been coming out and making these statements if they'd got what they wanted today? If they'd got reconstruction? If Kelty, Hearts and Brora Rangers were allowed to come into the lower league?
That's where my sympathy ends with them, GFK.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, what the fight I'm wanting is the good fight, and the good fight is the Rangers fight. Well, the rest can go and sing as far as I'm concerned. Because if we were sitting here today and it was a reconstruction has been granted, and all these clubs, the Hearts and the Thistles and the Stranraers, they would wash their hands of us, Bridgeman. So I've not got any sympathy for any of them at all. So it's the Rangers fight I'm more concerned in, and what happens to Rangers going forward. And that we're only looking for fairness. This is not about who's going to win what league. And so let's not kid ourselves on. These clubs are only hanging on to our coattails now because they obviously know now that there was one club that was right, and that was Glasgow Rangers.
But
Yeah,
the
but
thing
that's
is,
the, following on
thing,
to... Oh, sorry, sorry.
the thing is, Jimmy, they set up a Scottish pyramid, and these clubs earned the right to go into a
Yeah.
playoff to join this league. They're quite right now, regardless of how everything else is went, to be aggrieved about that. Once again, it's the SPFL changing the rules to suit themselves.
If I was in their Twitter would have been good and say sorry, we don't want to join your league. It's a mess. That would have been better.
Aye. But I know what you're saying, folks, but it's plain. We wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation tonight if reconstruction had been granted, because they all just fell in line with Doncaster and his cohorts, and then it would be everybody against Rangers. And we know they are all against Rangers, but the fact of the matter is, I couldn't give a hoots about any of them. This is a Rangers fight to get justice in Scottish football, and they're only now coming in to try and back us up because it suits them. It didn't suit them before when they were voting against things, and it's come back to haunt them now.
But the thing is, Jimmy, it doesn't matter how it comes about. You've got to win hearts and minds to get the backing. And if the SPFL make a right roaring arse of everything, and clubs then decide to join us in the crusade to clean out Scottish football, I'll take that any day of the week, you know.
Aye, but it's like I'm Spartacus, isn't it? I mean, you're either in the gang or you're not in the gang, you know. So I mean, as John Bennett said, you know, the way that they're trying to isolate Rangers, and that's what they've done. They've isolated Rangers. But now when other clubs haven't got what they wanted, when they wanted reconstruction, right? Now they're all jumping on the bandwagon. Why not jump on beside us last week and a couple of weeks ago when we could have went forward with an army? We're one man. We're Spartacus now, and we need more Spartacuses. And to some people that might sound silly, but that's the way I feel about it. And if the other clubs knew or want to come in,
was that the one where the car was? Oh, is that the one where the car was? Oh, we've got a caller, JFK. Good evening, caller.
How you doing, guys?
All right, mate.
It's Stuart in Edinburgh. You'll know me for previous calls for the Motonoo and stuff with the Hib stuff. And
you don't support our club, but you've been lucky to be on this show a few times. Carry on, mate. Okay.
Listen, lads, I mean, Scottish football at the moment is just, wow. There's bigger things in mind here.
Yeah.
The leagues should be finished. Null and void. No more.
Is that what the Hib supporters are saying, mate?
There's a few. Don't get me wrong, there's the ones that are saying, yeah. Me personally, the leagues are finished. There's bigger pictures out there at the moment, and the Hearts fans, God almighty, relegation, handing titles over, Partick Thistle, Stranraer, Kelty Hearts, Brora Rangers. It's total nonsense. Total nonsense. Maybe we need to oust the SPL, and it's ran by the clubs. Totally ran by the clubs.
And what do you think your man? Do you think your man Preethy's part of the cabal, mate? Rod Petrie?
Well, he, pardon my French, but he screws us enough.
Right, okay, I'll take your word for that. So that would be your position, that null and void, and that keeps Hearts in the top league as a Hibby. Are you happy with that?
Yes, of course.
Right, okay, mate.
Of course, but to go with the bigger picture, I mean, to go with the bigger picture here, every club in Scottish football at the moment is struggling. Take the Championship 1 and 2. These guys must be, wow. They need funds.
Can I ask you? I don't mean to be rude, because anytime you've you've been very, very fair and very honest. As a hippie, what do you listen to Rangers radio for?
Well, to be honest with you, the first thing was the Fernando Rickson thing. Obviously, my brother-in-law passed away 3 years ago today, actually.
All right.
And
you came on at that particular evening, yeah?
Yes, and as I say, I'm just a football fan.
Aye, okay.
I'm not a bigot at all. I'm nothing. I just follow football. And The reason I listen to your shows is because a guy in a place called Fallin called Alex Jones,
Right.
who's a massive Rangers fan, but he's the same as me. After the cup final, he never said a word. He just get it over and done with. I says, no. I says, I've seen my team win it, but bigger picture at the moment, the leagues are null and void. That's the way it's got to go. Celtic are not champions. Hearts don't get relegated. League reconstruction, I don't agree with it. But at the moment, there's no titles handed out.
Fox?
Well said, that man. Couldn't agree with him more.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Listen, Stuart, thanks for the call. And if ever we get on a contentious issue with him, you can phone in because you're an absolute gentleman, mate.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers.
And
for that,
yeah, I support football. I mean, well, I'll give you, before I go, I'll give you one. I'm a massive, massive Leeds United fan. Dirty Leeds. And do you know where they're sitting at the moment?
yeah, they've not said a word about the potential.
Correct.
Correct.
So, yeah. At the moment, we're all sitting in limbo. The SPFL just need to just end it.
Right.
Just end the league.
We'll take that round my panel. But listen, thanks very much for the call, mate, and a pleasure to speak to you, mate.
You two guys, take care.
Look,
Good
guys,
call.
I have supported. I think that's the third time he's been on the
Aye.
show, mate.
Yeah.
But what he's saying is, for true football fans, is correct, mate. And fair play to him for phoning up the show. And
Yep.
that's all I can say.
He's actually took the wind out my sails. That's fine.
I
You
think
know-
he spoke more sense than us 4 years for 40 minutes.
You better
I was
believe
going to
it.
say to him, you want to come on the panel every night.
You know he's right. You know, I mean, Stuart's right. I mean, obviously we all watch Sky Sports News now, but there's a big thing happening down there, and Leeds are just sitting in the wings waiting to see what's going to happen. And they don't want a null and void down there. They want promotion and relegation. It's a big mishmash. They're hopeful of maybe playing in the next 4 or 5, 6 weeks. I don't know what's ever going to happen. But we need to get it sorted up here, guys. It's it's null and void. The answer for me it is, because I've been reading various ex-Rangers and even some ex-puddle drinkers who are saying the league should be made null and void. There shouldn't be champions. And it's all right saying that there'll be an asterisk at their name when they're named champions. But one thing that really sticks in my throat, they're the only club in the world who's actually calling for the championship. Every other captain and manager at every other team is it says it in the current situation.
I read a tweet today, mate. I wonder if I can get it up. Let me see. I've got quite a lot of stuff on. Let me just see if I can still find it, GFK. Glad you made that point. What did you make of that call, Bridge?
I thought it was quite refreshing. You know, I've just been saying 2 minutes ago or 5 minutes ago, saying that Hibs are a big club now, and they're well run, apart from their chairman, who's sitting in the ex-chairman, sitting in the SFA. But really, they're their chief executive officer, and all of a sudden, within 5 minutes, that boy's phone. That's brilliant. And he said, well, basically, what I said from a Rangers perspective, they should be saying or doing something. I believe that sincerely. He's saying, well, some of the Hibs fans believe the same thing. That's what he's saying. It's a pity that the club's not doing it, but it's a pity the club's not doing it yet.
There you go. Yeah. I've got a tweet from Matt Stafford, who I think he plays for Linfield. He's a centre back. Plays for Linfield, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he said today, I think Linfield are top of the league, but it'd be unfair for Linfield to be handed the title. We just want to finish the job. Everything is where they are on the table on merit, but still close, top and bottom. You want to win the league in the right manner and not be handed anything.
Yep.
By the way, that's very wise words. A lot of us have said it on the air. I particularly have said there's no way No way. I've played football all my life at half decent levels. Port Bear will tell you the same thing. You do not want to win. That's not. You'll take it because somebody will give you it, but you really don't want it. You're not going to walk about bragging that you won the league title. You're going to add that to all your league titles. No. You didn't win it. I mean, particularly in the Premiership at the present moment, there's at least 8 games to play. We've got 9. So that's, if you count it out, that's like maybe a quarter of the season still to go, or close to it. It's just not right. It's just not right, Oxford. It doesn't matter what anyone says. It's not right.
Mm-hmm. So we've had the Brechin story run, the Kelty Hearts, we've had Hearts with a statement today, Partick Thistle's letter. I thought she was very, very... she didn't miss it, the SPFL on the letter. I think it was dated the 30th of April, GFK.
Aye. Look, again, I've not got any sympathy for Ann Budge at all.
No, Jackie Lowe.
Oh, Jackie Lowe. Sorry, Party. I've not got any sympathy for her either. I know that you corrected me about the vote and that, but look, they had a chance to do something about it, and you know, if Party Thistle be wanted to be regarded as a big club, and I know they're in the bottom of the division, but well, why not go for it? No, I know they've got a good fund in there, and they're a club that's that are debt free. But I'll repeat what I said earlier on. They're all jumping on the bandwagon now, and I can understand what Fox is saying. But we wouldn't be having this conversation if reconstruction had been granted. They would have just left Rangers to their own devices. So I'll welcome them to come behind us. But no, where were you when we needed you? 2012 as well.
And also all the stuff about reconstruction, mate. They had to go to the broadcaster.
Yeah.
What do you think the answer would have been, Fox?
It'd have been a no, mate, because they want 4 Old Firm games a season, and to reconstruct it'd have been difficult to fit that in, I think, you know.
Right, who wants to sum up what's happened since the show last night? GFK first.
Well, I think in the last 24 hours, the developments that we've seen after the reconstruction wasn't granted. That clubs that maybe are going to wake up and smell the coffee and see what Rangers were trying to do was to make Scottish football a better place. And it's not about coming up after Donald Park speaks tomorrow, and others will probably speak up in the next couple of days before the vote on Tuesday. I think that
I don't believe Rangers voted on reconstruction. My understanding is they would run the table in reverse alphabetical order. I wonder why
that's fine.
So a certain club might
problem with that. I know, but as
Rangers accepted in a different financial position to most clubs, and we're happy to go with the consensus for the good of the game, Bridgeman. By the time they had founded enough clubs, they stopped them down the list. So Celtic were never asked. That comes from an administrator on Follow, so it could be true. So there you have it, Bridge.
It's a fix, man. It's a setup. So what will we do Celtic haven't been heard of for 3 weeks on this subject.
You missed the point.
What do you mean?
Our club said they didn't vote because they would go with a consensus.
Yes.
For the good of Scottish football.
Correct. And they never needed to answer that. They never need to say anything.
It's not about them. This is Rangers radio.
I know. But look, they were never. They should have been asked first in alphabetic order. As simple as that. They're the champions. What have you got to say about this? They haven't said anything for 3 weeks on it. It's a fix. It's a setup.
But once again, our club have shown class. Like they've been showing class every day. They haven't shown more class tomorrow. GFK.
Of course we will, mate, because we are a class team. And whatever happens in the next 48 hours, 72 hours, we know we can keep our heads held high. Others should be ashamed of themselves.
Agreed.
But we welcome you to join the fight. This is a fight against Scottish football.
Well, Bridge, we've reached that time of the evening.
Oh, no, again. You know, I've no idea how good this is. It's really brilliant. It's a really, really good show. Well done again, Oxter and Jimmy.
No,
well
me.
done.
It's the news.
You did.
It's the news.
No, it doesn't matter. The show itself is.
We're going to have to get used back to Thornwood Primary and get.
We're all very happy. We're all very happy. It's been a really good show. Marvelous discussions, and really, in a short period, 24 hours. Look at all the different things that's happened, and in all probability, just what you said there, it'll go on and on for over the weekend anyway. Can I just say to all the Rangers fans all over the world, in particular Rangers fans here on Rangers Radio, every single one is, we really have to come up. Step up to the line and get the supporters that you can. Keep it going for the Rangers, because the Rangers really need us. Keep it going.
Can I think Bridge, Fox, GFK, and of course All School Blue doing the technicals. Stuart the Hibby, who was the only real caller tonight. Thanks to everybody in the lobby for taking part. Thanks to everybody for listening. This has been Rangers Radio. Because of the lockdown, we'll be back tomorrow night between 9 and 10. Talking about all things Rangers, and we're looking forward to see what Donald Park's got to say. Take it away, All School Blue.